Welcome back, seedlings. I think you may have missed us for a week. Did they miss us for a week? Or were we good about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You may have missed us for a week. Feels like you did. If you didn't, then we're just stupid and ignore us. Hi, Andy.
Hello, Summer. Back from vacation.
Yay.
It's great. You know,
who goes on vacation and doesn't come back tanner?
Well, while I was on vacation, I hear there's a whole bunch of rainbow stuff going on.
There was rainbow Pride Month's over. We got real rainbows now.
Right, isn't it? I thought that was amazing.
The real rainbows.
Right after June, all of a sudden there's this breakout of God's rainbows all over the place.
It's true. And now they're all over seeds.
It is an amazing thing. Sometimes we are just overwhelmed by God and what God is doing and the promises that God has for us, right?
Yes.
The question is, what do we do in those overwhelmed moments, right? And do we still believe God in those overwhelmed moments? What's our response to God in those moments? So I have one of those moments for you that I want to look at today. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to Matthew chapter 17, and everybody who watches us knows that you read and I do not. So I want to read the first 8 verses. When I say that, I mean I want you to read the first 8 verses for me.
Great.
All right.
So 17, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After 6 days, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto Moses and Elias, talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face, and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them, and said, Arise, and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man, save Jesus only.
Okay, so this is a fantastic moment, right? This is a God revealing who Jesus is moment, right?
Yep.
And we look at that and we see this is in the physical, right? But God is always looking to reveal Jesus to us and to other people. Would you agree with that? Right? And so sometimes in those moments of revealment, right, we get a little bit like Peter did, right? We get to a point where all of a sudden we kind of think we grasp the moment, right? We think we know what's going on in the moment, and we start making some pretty bold statements, right? We just start acting and reacting. Hey, look at this is such a cool moment. We get to see Elijah. We get to see Moses. We get to see you, right? Now, again, I'm not really sure why the Bible doesn't go into more detail about why Peter's not in awe of seeing Moses and Elijah.
Yeah, like it's normal.
Yeah, like
hey, we just saw you yesterday. No big deal. Make some tabernacles.
Seems to be an okay thing, right? Like, hey, we traveled up this mountain and these guys hung out with us, right? And but Peter, he looks at the moment and he grasps it according to him, right? And then he puts what makes sense to him in front of Jesus. Hey, how about if we do this? How about if we honor the 3 of you? Now, again, I'm not really sure why Peter would be honoring Elijah and Moses in the same moment with Jesus, right? That shows a little bit of a detachment, right? Of like, hey, if you're putting Jesus on the same level as Moses and Elijah, you got a problem, right?
Yeah.
But what we know is Peter, still at this point, he's not grasping this whole Jesus thing, is he?
Clearly. I mean, the other cool thing that some people talk about sometimes is like, how did he know who they were? Right? Like, exactly how did he know? There's no Facebook. You didn't see a picture of Moses? Like, yeah. No. So, like, that's cool. Like, they talk about, like, heaven stuff with that. Like, how you'll just know who people are. But, yeah, how did he know who they were? And, no, he's clearly not grasping the Jesus thing. Because Jesus is, like, his buddy. Right? Like, exactly. He knows who he is. I believe he knows who he is. But it's, like, when you're that close to someone, you see them differently. You know?
So he doesn't. Oh, and I'm getting way too excited about this, right? Because there are so many moments where this is, we're just not grasping our Jesus. right? We're looking at the moment. We're excited about the superficial things that are going on, or the little bit under the skin stuff that's going on. And we're like, yay, more people came to church. Or yay, that was a good worship set. Or yay, that was a good sermon, right? But we're sitting in the presence of God. Right? We're sitting with Jesus, and we're not grasping the whole thing. So Peter, he does what makes sense to him, right? But before we bash Peter too much, because we do that with the whole walking on the water thing and the whole get behind me Satan moment with Jesus and all the things. But the truth of the matter is the only one that's talking here is Peter, right? The other two that are with them are smart enough apparently to not say anything at the moment. And the other 9, well, they're not even here. Right. So Peter is the one that stands up and says, like, he's reacting to the moment.
You know, some people just get nervous and they just start like in mouth diarrhea thing. They just start talking like uncontrollably.
You're not being convicted when you're here.
No, I'm not being convicted.
This is on video.
When I get nervous and I
get
quiet, I don't like just start chattering like a crazy person. I think he was nervous. But I think we do, like you said, we do that to Jesus a lot. Where like, I think he was just so comfortable with him that it wasn't, I don't know, like he knew he was God, but he was his best friend, you know? It was like, I think that's a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing. Like when we do, like for us, like when we need like the big things, or we need to remember the big things, or we need to remember the promises, we might just be in that Jesus is my friend mode.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And it's like, that's great a lot of the time. But sometimes you need to remember like all the other parts.
Yeah, so I love what you're saying. Like there are moments where we're just looking at what we know and where our relationship with Jesus
norm,
is.
like the everyday.
Right. And the whole point of this is for Peter, James, and John to get into a deeper relationship with Jesus. They're going to learn something about Jesus here, right? And so they're looking at just what they've already experienced. Right? They're looking at what they know about Jesus. They're looking at this whole thing, and they want to honor. Peter's asking to do something good. We want to honor you. I think it's good for us to honor you, to honor Elijah, to honor Moses. And again, they grew up hearing all about Elijah and Moses, right? They just met Jesus. Like there's no, again, Jesus is obviously in the Old Testament. He's obviously always been. But there's no stories of Jesus walking the earth, you know, and interacting and teaching great teachings in the Old Testament, right? But it's amazing because there's some similarities about the Jesus of the Old Testament that are about to come out with this Jesus, right? And so it's important for us to understand that, like, sometimes we need to take a step back in the basics, and we need to say, like, yeah, I know Jesus, and I'm going to view this situation in that perspective, like what I know about Jesus, right? But be open to more, right? Not just, hey, here's what we're going to do in this moment based on what I know. Now, God, what are you doing in
So
this?
you're super making me think of our Bible study that you weren't here for. Nice. On Wednesday, we did in 1 Corinthians, right, where it talks about like your good works that'll make you through the fire, and then your other works that are will be burned up, right? And it just, we talked about that, and we're like, well, we're talking to Christians. You're not talking to unsaved people.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about, like, sins, right? So what would be bad works, right? And, like, that makes me think of this kind of thing where we're saying, like, okay, it might be good. It might be something good that you want to do, but it's not what God wants you to do in that moment. It's not maybe your job. It's not the exact thing that he wants. It's not what's supposed to happen. Yeah. It's a good thing. Everybody says that. Oh, Peter didn't say something wrong.
Nope.
He didn't say something bad. It's just, he was just off.
Yeah. He just wasn't in tune with God, with what God was doing in this moment, right?
It's like one of those things that'll be burned up. It's like this was nothing. Like you missed the mark.
Exactly.
No big deal, but
we want to work with God.
No big deal, but you're off.
Yeah, no, and it is a big deal.
But you could miss something else.
That's right. We want to go deeper. Right. So God's like, hey, listen, back up. You took it here. I want to go here with it.
I love how God's like, yo. Shut up.
Right.
It's awesome.
So listen, I think we need to wrap this one up, and we're gonna leave it cliffhanger.
Make them come back.
Yes, we're gonna leave it cliffhanger. We're gonna come finish, and that was a great tease, right? And then God is what really you need to end this with, and then God shows up in this moment.
Yeah.
All right,
guys. Nothing. There's no wrap up. You just have to come back next week. So we'll see you next week, seedlings. Come back for some more Transfiguration drama.